Oh, we are highly skilled. Well, nobody's watching on the plus side, so
that's the good thing.
That's the good news is no one cares. But
We're live.
we are live. All right, very cool.
Good job, boys. Have fun.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl.
So people are finding us.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do my introduction that I'm going to do here, which is hey, welcome to episode. Was that impressive? Did you like that?
Yeah,
thank you very much. I was practicing that at home. So welcome to episode 2 of Might Help, Can't Hurt: Conversations with Leaders, Doers, and Friends. And this is just a series of conversations that I wanted to record. I am fortunate to know some pretty cool people, and we have some pretty cool conversations. And I've often thought, boy, I bet people would like to listen in on these conversations. And so we're letting you. So today, hey, Charles. I still find it weird calling you Charles and it's Charlie. It's throwing me, man.
We can do both.
Okay. So this is Charles Davies from howtobeclear.com.
Mm-hmm.
And he has some very clear ideas. And I came across you. I'm trying to remember how I came across you, but I was one of those just following my nose on Facebook. And I think it was on Medium.
Yeah, I think it was my friend Max St. John wrote a piece about climate change.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was what it was. And there's a bit in the middle of it where he quotes me.
Right.
And I think you followed a thread there, and then that ended up on my
website. The usual way people meet.
Yeah.
Web surfing. But so how did you come to be quoted in articles on climate change? Because I don't think of you as a climatologist.
No, I don't know anything about it at all.
So you were a natural for the article.
I can't even remember what the quote was, to be honest. But Max and I are friends. We've known each other a long time, and there's a little group of us who meet and talk every month. Where one of us runs a church. Max works with organizations, but also is a Neigong teacher.
Okay.
And then
like Qigong or
something like that.
Yeah, okay.
He'd explain the difference.
Yeah.
And then there's our friend Dougal Hine, who started a thing called the Dark Mountain Project, which has been looking at climate change and art and literature for like 10 years. And it feels weird to be talking about this because it's it's one of those little groups where we just meet and don't tell anyone. But
you've told a few people now.
I know, yeah. But it's one of those things where I think at times like these, you feel the need for sort of deep support. And actually having a few friends who are collaborators and who don't necessarily work with, or you work with here and there, but where you have someone to call on, where it's not a work project or something. You can just do the kind of, hey, how are you doing?
So essentially like a mastermind would be the traditional way of talking about that.
I guess, yeah. And also just having that investment of, we've been talking to each other for 2 years. In that format, of making time each month and talking to each other. And so when crises show up and when things happen, that trust is there and is invested, and it counts for so much.
Yeah. So any crises show up in the last couple of months? Anywhere that you've been aware of in the world?
No, not. I mean, the usual. Yeah. No, and to be honest, it's been very helpful for that, where you can feel these different waves. I'm sure you do, and we talked about it before a little bit. Feel these waves of like, I need to do things, or like I should be doing things, but I've done nothing for a week, and it's just good to have the people around who can tell you it's fine to do nothing, or when everyone is sort of going out and trying to help and solve things or put clever things online or whatever it is, that actually not having an answer and not feeling very wise and just kind of waiting is okay.
Yeah. I saw a line from a poem posted yesterday that it's sort of in praise of waiting. And it was saying that, you know, most people don't realize that waiting comes with its own gift. It has its own I think it was gift, which but it was just such a simple idea that we think of waiting as the in between the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I always go ahead.
I wrote a poem about a day or two after the lockdown started here. Can I read you that?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
It's called Peace Fire. It says, "This is no time. No time for telling anyone your news. No time for telling anyone what they should do. No matter the things that you may believe. This is the time to save lives or to grieve."
Nice. Can you read it again?
Yeah, sure.
I was thinking poems need to be heard twice.
Yeah. Yeah, then you can hear them and then hear them. Yeah. So it's called Peace Fire. This is no time. No time for telling anyone your news. No time for telling anyone what they should do. No matter the things that you may believe. This is the time to save lives or to grieve.
So not to sort of make it too literal, but where does that kind of waiting fit between saving lives and grieving?
I think, I mean, for me, it's if you're not saving lives, then do the waiting.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's so much to process at the moment. Like there's the normal stuff of like everything that's different that you have to work out how to do differently.
Yeah.
But there's also all of the context, you know, all of the kind of different subtle kinds of ground of sort of culture and shared stories and things like that that are moving. And it feels so hard to keep up, to find enough space to process all of that. And so I think, yeah, if you're in the act of saving lives, you might not have time to process that and you just get on with it.
Yeah.
But if you're not actually going around and saying, hey, you know, here are 10 ways you can make them, you know, best use of the crisis to find new opportunities to, you know, something or other, it feels like, no, the main thing is just to listen, you know. And I think that's the waiting, isn't it? It's the not acting, not jumping to acting before you've listened enough.
So what are you listening to when you listen in that context?
I think it's all of the things that I'm holding on to that I might have to let go of. You know, so like if I punctuate my week by going to a cafe, you know, if that's a sort of strategy for like I'm working and I get bored, or I'm working and I get overwhelmed, or whatever it is. Yeah. If the strategy is go to a cafe, then if that's my kind of commitment to how I deal with something, if suddenly I can't, that doesn't mean the commitment isn't there.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean I'm not still, like attached to that as a thing. And so it's listening for all of, and that's the smallest example, it's listening for all of those things where if I'm still committed to trying to live life the way it was possible to live it before, and now it's not possible to live it that way, then it's going to hurt. And the thing that's going to hurt isn't actually the change. It doesn't necessarily hurt staying at home. It doesn't necessarily hurt only being able to go out once a day or something like that. But what hurts is when you're still committed to hanging out with your friends, and you can't. It's when that's the way that you process things. So it's the way that you look after yourself. It's the way that you find peace or rest, or the way that you find perspective. And so I think it's when you're kind of drawing on an empty well or banging on a closed door, it's when the fact is you can't, you can't go around to your friend's house. And so I think it's waiting and listening for long enough to be able to go, okay, I can't. Okay, I can't go to my friend's house, and I still need to find some perspective, or I still need to give myself some time out, or I still need to switch, or whatever it might be. And so I think it's how to find your way to what you need by listening for long enough to how you can do that, rather than trying to act when you're in that sort of in-between space of just being pissed off that you can't go to your friend's house.
Well, so is then, because you talk a lot about how to be clear, at howtobeclear.com. And is that then the opposite of clarity? Is that kind of muddled, pissed off, frustrated, in-betweeny?
Yeah. And that's why I think of it as drama.
Right.
The opposite of clarity is drama.
Right.
And it's like this sort of a technical thing. So it's not like, oh, you're being so dramatic.
Yeah.
It's when, exactly the way you put it, when you're in that state of kind of confusion and muddle, where it's not like you're acting to just go to your friend's house of like, damn it, I know I'm not allowed to, but I'm going to go.
Yeah.
It's not like you're acting by going, okay, I can't go to my friend's house. It's that you have the like, sort of unpleasant feeling of being stuck between the two. And then you're like, I'm going to do something as a reaction to this unpleasant feeling.
Right.
And then it's like the unpleasant feeling becomes the cause of what you end up going and doing. Like, unpleasant feeling, I'm going to go and drink. I'm going to go and watch TV. I'm going to just to avoid the unpleasant feeling.
Right.
And so that's like, and this is all very easy to talk about and sort of theorize about, but it's so hard to not start from that place. So hard not to just start from the drama, reach for the nearest kind of habitual strategy of like, this feels bad, I'll watch Netflix. Yeah.
Or indeed a Facebook Live.
Yeah, or any of the other things. But how to wait long enough.
Yeah.
For the intensity of the drama to subside.
So that was one of the things we were talking a couple weeks back, and I didn't connect the dots with drama being the opposite of clear, but we're talking about drama, and I started noticing just how much dramatic thinking I have about money was what we were talking about at the time, but actually I have dramatic thinking about coffee. I mean, like oh my God, it's, and it was fascinating to see, because of course I just assumed life was dramatic, and I'm sure life may have its moments, but honestly, most of the drama in my life that I can look at is definitely in thought. It's not in the world.
Yeah.
There is stuff happening, but the drama's in here.
Yeah, definitely. The drama is definitely sort of value add, isn't it? Like things happening, and then
or a valueless ad. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I know I definitely bring the drama.
Yeah.
And I guess it doesn't take much to spot that either, does it? Because like you say, you have your coffee drama.
Yeah.
Like, what is the, this isn't the one I was meant to have, blah, blah, blah.
Hell.
This is this is the red soul grind. I wanted the other, the without ginseng or and then you turn around and you see the person next to you in the queue.
It's hemp seed extract. Just
hemp seed, exactly.
I know.
Right? And you only have to be losing your shit about that and then turn to your left and see there's someone who's perfectly happily enjoying the one without the hemp seed extract or whatever.
I saw a great little TikTok video yesterday, and it was this guy, sounded like a New Yorker, and he's filming from the dashboard, inside his car. And he's looking at the window and he's going, yeah. Well, I got here first. This is my parking spot. I don't get, you took the long way. I took the shortcut. I get the spot. Hey, up yours. And he's just going on. And then he stops and he takes the camera and he aims it out the window, and it's an empty parking lot.
Yeah. And
he turns and he aims at himself and he goes, yeah, there's nobody here. I miss it. I just thought, that's it. Like, that's us. We really like the drama.
It's great.
It's there or not.
I mean, on a good day, it's great. On a good day, there's nothing better than being furious and being sure that makes you right. Or being furious and feeling powerful because you're right, or at least because the other person's wrong.
Yeah. Hey, would you be up for, we got 100+ people on. Would you be up for taking any questions if anyone's got any?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So guys, I know technically you're eavesdropping on us, but if you want to put any questions into the comments, and I see them. Tech is a little funky on this one. Then we'll take them on. Let me ask the first one though. So like, how are you finding what's your percentage of excited about, everything's changing, to kind of like, everything's changing? Because everyone I know seems to be ping-ponging a bit between the two.
Oh, I think 100% neither. Like, there's definitely no room for excitement. I'm definitely not feeling like, oh wow, there's so much potential with this.
Right.
But I'm also, I also don't feel very dramatic about it.
Right.
I don't feel like, I do in terms of the people I miss, and in terms of the risk, to the people I love and to everyone. But like, that's just being alive, right?
Yeah.
And so that part, it just feels like bringing sort of usual acceptance to, of like the ways in which life is hard. And then it doesn't feel like excitement. No, it doesn't. It just feels like getting on with things.
Oh, it's interesting. Okay. Because I have moments of getting on with things, but the first time I felt the way I've felt for a lot of this last month was when my first book was about to come out. And it had a lot of hype and a lot of, Hay House were really getting behind it. And I remember saying to Nina that I feel like I'm walking to the back of a room that I've spent most of my life in. And there's these curtains at the back, and I'm about to walk through the curtains. And I have no idea what's on the other side of the curtains. It could be just a continuation of the same room.
Yeah.
It could be like a sharp drop off into outer space, like in some old TV show, like where you walked out a door and fell into space. It could be a glorious, opulent scene from The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
And I've had that feeling of just sort of, there's still a curtain, Like I still can't see what's coming. And it might be just as it was, or it might be something completely new. And there's something about that for me that's just kind of mostly thrilling and occasionally terrifying.
Yeah. Is it like?
Yeah, it is. That's why I was curious. Yeah.
What's going to happen? I don't mean what's behind the curtain, but like how would you? When would the moment be? Like, what would?
Well, I don't know.
How would you know?
Well,
What are you hoping for? Maybe like.
Do you know? It's a really interesting thing, that, because one of the things that I've wondered about in tracking my reactions, some of my clients' reactions, just friends' reactions to this, is that I think for a lot of people initially, and this is again, putting aside if people are dealing with real shit, they're dealing with real shit.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of relief from boredom. Like, oh, something different. So it's almost like an invitation to pay attention. In a way that it's just easy to stay numb to, because the routine's pretty good.
So from the people that you've talked to, you have a feeling that the sort of the shift of it might be kind of waking.
There seems to be. Now, whether or not it lasts,
yeah,
I have no idea. But there is definitely a movement. I am seeing people, on the whole, more alive than I have seen them for ages.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's a mixed bag about the ones who are more alive, and it's showing up as kind of like and the ones whose aliveness is showing up as creativity and just something in the eyes. It's not even necessarily a doing.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, no, I know, right?
I think I guess I'm so focused on the sort of puzzle of now what.
Right.
So like kind of if the thing that you see people stepping out of is the routine, of like how to get through the day when you're just getting through the day, and then suddenly everything's taken away and you can't rely on the routine. You haven't got a to-do list in the way that you'd normally have a to-do list, and so in my world, you have to start being clear. You have to start listening for what you need. You have to start listening for what's the right thing to do today, because for if you're furloughed or whatever, if your life has been turned on its head in some way, then there isn't someone to say, oh well, at 9 o'clock you go to the office and at 5 o'clock you stop, and then this, you haven't got a habit to fall back on. And so I guess my attention has just been on like, have I done enough to make sure that the kind of paths are clear, that I've done my work on like how to be clear when there isn't a to-do list anymore. Right. What are the things you can call on? How can you listen well enough and navigate through intuition and improvisation and things like that, rather than through the routine. But this reminds me of about 15 years ago, I texted a friend of mine and I said, do you want to dress up as animals and walk around London for a day? And
you just got back to me yesterday.
No, she got back to me within about 10 seconds and said, yes, when? And I'd read it in a book by Chuck Palahniuk, the guy that wrote Fight Club. There's a short story in one of his books about him walking around Seattle or somewhere dressed as animals. And I was like, all right, let's do that, see what happens. And so we got a very nice bear costume and a very nice owl costume. and set off first thing in the morning and just walked around and saw what happened. And what happened was you basically, like London normally, not now, normally runs on habit.
Yeah.
Everyone knows, like, you get on the tube, you stand this far apart from the next person or this far apart. If you're standing that close, then you look the other way. If you're walking down the street and someone comes here, you go around. Like, everything is autopilot. Thank God, because that's how you can get that many people to be polite to each other that close together. But if you walk down the street dressed as an owl and you're not selling something, you haven't got some flyers, you're not, promoting something, you're just an owl walking down the street, then there's no habit to, if you meet the owl,
you're scanning. It's like owl. I'm sure.
Yeah, you're like no information. You're like bus driver, fine. Tourist, fine. Busker, fine. All the things. But owl, you're like, I don't know what to do now. And so we basically had a day of everyone we met revealing their true selves, because they couldn't give us London autopilot off the shelf appropriate behavior, so they had to choose for themselves. And so bus drivers are lovely. You can get on a bus dressed as an owl and they're just like, yep, here you go, there's your ticket. We school children, less lovely. We walked past a school and a horde of children came out, and I could just hear one of the children saying, sweep its legs, sweep its legs. And they're like encouraging each other to
go for the wings, go for the wings.
Yeah, no, it was the bear. It was the bear. And so my friend Bryony took her bear head off, and they saw like, oh my God, there's a real person under there. And we've just been, ha ha ha, it's a cartoon character attacking him. And then, a passing builder and businessman just saw these kids about to launch at this, girl in a bear suit. I was like, you little shit. And like knights in shining armor came and kind of diffused the situation. And then we had people inviting us into a pub, buying us a drink. I was carrying some stuff. And I had my owl head in my hand, and I was like, I've got too many things, and I can't get the head on. And there was a businessman and his friend coming towards us, and I was like, oh, excuse me, could you? And I saw he had a bunch of stuff. He was carrying stuff in his hands as well. So I was like, oh, don't worry about it. He's like, no, what do you want? I was like, oh, could you help me get my hat on, my head on? And he's like, yeah, sure, of course. And so, businessman, suit, friend, suit. And he puts the owl head on my head and then gives me a great big hug. And it's like, I'm a grown man in the street. I'm a total stranger in the street.
Dressed as an owl.
You're a grown man in the street. Like, I may be dressed as an owl, but we're still two grown men who don't know each other, and you've just given me a big hug. And then 2 minutes later, someone tried to run me over on a crossing. Like,
I'm going to really have to think through the next time you text me. I just gonna,
I mean, yeah. I mean, we could definitely try it in LA once this is all over. But no,
probably as long as the bear's head and the owl's head had a mask, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, well, that's true. We could do it. Okay, but I'd still have to get to LA.
You would still have to get to LA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll
have to take a rain check on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, the start of that was like, what happens when you can't do the habitual thing? And that's what happened. We had a day of finding out what happens. And, the person behind the bar will go into a toilet cubicle with you and help you unpick all your hooks at the back if you need to, go to the loo and can't get in there. The people on the tourist submersible duck ride thing won't blink an eyelid, and people taking your photo will come up this close.
Yeah.
And so, I guess I don't feel like I've waited long enough and listened hard enough to feel the potential of where we are.
Right.
But when I hear your excitement about it, it makes me think of dressing up as an owl.
If I inspire one person to dress up as an owl because of this Facebook Live,
Right.
Charlie, our work is done.
I think so.
Yeah. So to just kind of not put a tight bow on it, but to kind of what I was thinking is, because a lot of people listening are just just commenting and sharing, and they're all over the world, which I think is really cool. What if you had to, like, if somebody called you up and instead of saying, "Hey, want to come on a call with me and just chat," which is what I did, but said, "Hey, I've got like a 3-minute slot on my show, and I'd love you to come on and just say something that's helpful to people." What comes to mind? I'm busy.
I think the first thing that popped into my head when you asked was just do nothing.
Yeah.
And I think there might be cleverer answers, or there might be more useful kind of tools, of like, if you have this problem, do this, if this is the problem, do that. But I feel if you've got 3 minutes and you're talking to everyone, you don't know who you're talking to, kind of thing, then my guess would be that we lean towards doing something more than doing nothing, and that if we spent more time doing nothing, then when we did something, it might be better.
So sorry, I didn't.
No, that'll do for now. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to tell people how to find you. So
Okay.
my guest, my friend, Charles Davies, you can find him at howtobeclear.com and on Medium. If you look up, it's Charles on Medium, right? Charles Davies. Then endless interest to me reading his work on how to be clear. And thank you for coming out and playing.
Thank you, Michael. It's nice to chat.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for listening and joining us from all over the world. And we will be back with another episode of Might Help, Can't Hurt, whenever it next occurs to me to do one. How's that for a pitch? All right. Bye, Charles. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.